Hello, and let's create a select query in Access. This is done on the Create tab up on the ribbon. There are two commands in the Queries group, Query Wizard and Query Design. Let's use the Query Design, which opens up a window asking us which tables we'd like to use in the query. I'm going to use the table People, and so I can either double click it or select it and click Add, and it gets placed in the Design window. I'm going to close out of here, and once the table is placed in this window, I can increase the size of this box so that I can see as many fields as possible. Now, what you want to do is select the fields from the table that you desire to appear in the query. So this lists all of the fields from the table, and down below, starting left to right, you select the fields that you desire to show in this order. So I would like the first name, and what I'm doing is double clicking, and the last name, and I would like their city and state. And so you see, as I double click, these are filled left to right down below in the design query. Let's take a look at how this looks. Up on the ribbon, you'll see that there's a run command. This runs the select query. So under this query type, we see there's several different types of queries that are possible. This one being the most common, the select query. When I run it, it takes a look at our table, and based on the criteria that I've chosen, displays the appropriate fields. And so here they are, first and last name, followed by city and state. Should I want to do anything else to this query, I need to return back to the Query Design. I can do this by going back up to the View tab, and you'll see right up here in the View tab, if I click at the top of it, returns me back to the Query Design. A couple of different tips for you. If I right-click on the top of this command, notice that I can add this to the Quick Access toolbar, and then that adds it right here at the end of my Quick Access toolbar. And by clicking on this last command, it will toggle me back and forth just the same as it would do if I clicked up here on the ribbon. So that's that nice handy feature. Also, this tab up here where I haven't named my query yet, it's just called Query 1. If I right-click on that tab, I can also switch between the Design view and the Datasheet view. Currently, we're in the Design view, so if I want to go back to the Datasheet view, which shows me the result of the query, then I can also do this by right-clicking on the tab. So that's just a couple of ways that you can switch back and forth between working in your query and seeing the results of your query. Now let's say that I wanted to add another field from this table. Let's say I also wanted to add the zip code. So down here I double click to add the zip code, and you'll see that it adds it in the first available spot on the right hand side. And again, once I switch my view back to the Datasheet view, you'll see that zip code has been added into the Datasheet view. Finally, that shouldn't be too long before you want to save your query. Again, you can do this by right-clicking up on the tab and choosing Save. We are going to use our abbreviation QRY, and I will name this one People Sorted by State. And observe that I have not sorted this yet, and so this has no particular sort order. Great way to sort within a query, you'll see that there is this sort command line down here in your query design. So if I wanted to sort this by, let's say, state, and so I'll click on that drop down arrow and choose Ascending, and when I run this query, you'll see in fact the data is sorted by that field state. Going back to the design view, I can add additional fields in this sort row. So what I'd like to do is first sort by state and then by city. So you'll see I've left my state sort and then my city sort. When I run this query, you'll see that the state sort is not there. First it ran by the city sort and then by the state sort. So that wasn't what I had hoped for. I'd first wanted to sort by state and then by city. But there's this particular thing in access. So I'll go back to the design view. What you need to know is that this sort row, the third row down, it'll sort from left to right. So by the feature, you'll see that it did sort by city first and then by state. One way to get around this without having to learn a program language called SQL is to simply click back on this city and choose not sort and then add it to the design view again. So I'm going to add this field, city, as a second time. So you see I have it here and I also have it here. And then I'll add the sort at the end. So now I have state listed first with a sort of ascending and city listed second with a sort. And when I run this query, it does in fact sort with the field state sorted first followed by city. But what looks rather strange about this is I'm listing the city 2 times. So let's fix that. Back into design view. One thing you may not have noticed is there's this 4th row with these check boxes. And what I can do is remove this checkbox. What that means is don't show this field in the query. So what I'm simply doing is using this field only for sorting, not for showing in the query results. So let's take a look. When I run the query, you'll see that it is in fact sorted by the field state first, and then by this mystery column that we're not actually seeing, city followed second, and it's all exactly how I wish to see it. And again, no programming language involved. Let's take a look at the design view again. So state, ascending order, city, ascending order, and then just paying attention to this box, whether you wish to show it in the query results or not. So keep that in mind as you are building your select queries. Some little tips here about using a single table, adding some fields, and then also using the sorting capabilities.